Alright guys, this is how to install the Alpine 6.5-inch speakers in the front. I researched it. Apparently those are the best speakers to put in the Ford Fusion. This is a Ford Fusion Hybrid 2016. First thing you got to do is take this little piece out right here. It actually goes just like that. It goes right behind in there. And as you can see, it clips on this side right there, and then it slides in. So you got to get it in and push this in first and then push it back in. And the same way coming out, it's got to pull out this way while you use something to push it this way. What I ended up doing was kind of prying this door handle open a little bit, putting this flathead behind it, pushing it that way towards the front of the door, and got a sharp blade and stuck it in between the crack of the actual speaker and the plastic of the top corner. As you got scratched a little bit. Shouldn't be able to see that because it's gonna be way up in there. Take that off. It's a bolt here. Take that off. And this thing down here is a blast. They usually have a pick tool that it's like a screwdriver with a bent end, and you stick it up in here and put it between this little crack right here and push up. I ended up getting a larger flathead screwdriver and coming from the bottom and just kind of pinching the corner, pinching it inside and kind of getting it turned straight so I could push it up. And once I got it up and had a gap here, I'd stick it in here and just kind of pry up on it, and then came around to this side and did the same thing, pried up on this side, kind of twisted it, and it just has a bunch of pops right here, little clips. You just pop out, and a little slot right here in the front. You take it out, just pull this side out first and then kind of pull it out and up. Also, there are some screws on the bottom right here. There's one screw there, one screw there. When you take this cover off, I forgot to mention there are two screws here and here. They're all different sizes, 5.5 millimeter. I think this one is a 10. The one down below almost seemed like a 7 or a 6. You're going to need a little metric socket set. Then you can go ahead and start at the bottom corner, start pulling away with the door, and it's just got clips all along the bottom and all on the sides. Start pulling those clips all out, and then lift the door shell up and lift it off, and I'll show you exactly what it looks like in just a second. Alright guys, this is what it's going to look like when you take it off. There's all the clips there. That'll kind of show you an idea of what you're ripping into. There's the two screws there and there. So that just pretty much comes off like that. Pulled this whole side off. I actually ended up putting the flathead on this side in here and kind of grabbing it up underneath the flathead and pulling up, and it managed to get this back side out, and then I just kind of worked it around and got it out. It's a little bit of a pain. It almost feels like you're going to break it, but just try not to. Next thing you do is unclip this. You just push this little tab in right here and then pull the actual plug out and then set it aside. I tight these two screws now. I just found out that it's probably best if you grab right here in this pocket with both your hands, one hand, whatever, and pry away at those clips on the back, and then kind of work your way around. You're gonna have to, once you get the bottom out, pull your fingers and pull it back out. Same thing on the other side. Alright guys, once you take it off, you're just going to actually, it'll be on like so. Once you get all the bottom clips off, just pull it out on the bottom. It's loose on the bottom. You're going to actually pull up on the door and off. Now once you do that, there's going to be a wire. It's actually the pull for the door handle. I actually leave it on. I don't even take it off. There's no sense in it. You're going to have some plugs here and there. One for the unlock and lock, one for the tweeter at the top. Looks like one is for some sort of sensor area, no telling. But either way, oh, it's for the light for the door lock. Take all those off. Just set the door panel kind of down and to the side is what I ended up doing. And there you have it. There is the speaker. One screw here, screw over here. And there should be a plug right there. This plug is a little confusing. It has 4 pins in it. From what I can see, these 2 left pins, these 2 right pins are connected together inside this housing. So there's actually 4 pins there. And it's getting dark, so you can't really see. You can barely see them there. There's 4 pins in there, and they are almost soldered together. The two pins at the top, 2 pins at the bottom. So it pretty much connects these sets of wires, these 2 here and these 2 here together. I'm guessing that's negative, positive. One of these wires must go back up to the actual tweeter box here that sends the power to the tweeter. If that is even indeed what it is, I'm not sure. But the wire does go up to the tweeter, I'm assuming. But I went ahead and kept it as is, kept the plug and everything, because I'm actually going to use this to install the new speaker. I'm just going to cut out this speaker and put in the new one. I've already slid in the old one, and I'm actually going to use the wires off of this plug on the inside that go to the speaker. Makes it 100 times easier. And there you have it. There is the hole with the 3 screws. Well, yeah, the little 3 bolts that were in there. There's also right next to the bolt at the top and the bottom, there's just a little hole. That is for these little black little pins, little pop-in little things. You just pop them right out. Once you undo the screws, you just pull on a little bit, it'll come right out. There's a little dinky Ford speaker that I think is super awesome that I'm going to exchange for something better, and I'll show you that later. Here's my little setup here. What we're going to end up actually doing is, this is just kind of melted into this plastic. This wire goes down into the speaker there, into the cone and the coil itself. So I just got some pliers and kind of pulled this corner off and managed to get this wire pulled out of this bracket here. And then I snipped the wire way down in there close to the cone. So I could use this wire, put a actual female connector, speaker connector on this wire at the very end, and plug it into the new speaker. So it works out perfect. I can use the same plug. I don't have to mess with anything. Next thing I'm doing right now is I'm going to have to actually pull all of this out. If you notice, you just kind of start at one edge and just try to peel all this actual speaker part off. Now, as you can see, I just peeled away the actual cone. My light went off here. It's getting kind of dark over there. So I just peeled away the cone, and now I'm going to start cutting these brackets right here. So like I said before, peel all this off. And once we get all that peeled off, I'm going to get a saw, a little hacksaw, or any kind of saw you can get. And we're going to cut just across this plastic piece, just to cut this bracket off right here. Just cut it right there along the circle cutout of the whole plastic ring itself. Every single one of them we're going to cut out. Looks like there's 6 there. And like I said, we're going to remove these and snip them. Once we get all that cut out, you're pretty much going to end up with this. See how I cut all the edges? I peeled all the styrofoam off around the plastic ring. I also snipped the wires way down there deep. Now, before you do all this, I highly recommend you get a battery. Old little trick here: positive, negative. You put this on the actual terminals and you watch the speaker. The speaker jumps out. That means whatever's positive on the battery is the positive on the speaker. The speaker goes inward, that means the positive is the opposite side. So if it actually goes inward, you just turn the battery around, put it back on. If it jumps out, then whichever side's positive is positive. The main thing is, if it jumps out, positive side of the battery is on the positive terminal at that time. So you need to find that out and mark it with the Sharpie marker. That way you can plug that right back in. Most speakers, at least the speakers that I bought, if I slide it right back in this housing, just like this one, the positive is on one side, negative's on the other side. They're pretty much in sync. So you just connect this one to this one, connect this one to this one on the new speaker. And there we have it. Got the 2 wires. These actually are good to go. All you gotta do is just like a copper wire, you just put the connectors in the end of this and it works perfect. Only other thing I had to do was kind of bend these tabs down and bend these tabs in a little bit just to keep it away from the frame of the new speaker. Next thing you got to do is get a razor blade and put it inside this gap right there at the bottom, and just go along that line all the way around, kind of all the way, this little section right there, all the way around the speaker. Just go around in a circle as many times as possible. Eventually it'll start breaking off. You have to do this because unless your speaker fits inside this little ring area, mine does not. This little lip is in the way, and there's a lip all the way around practically. Even this smaller section right here that's lower, it still has to be cut off too, so the speaker sits flat on this cone, or this ring I should say. After a while of doing it, you'll start noticing as you're going around that it starts going through. And once this happens, you can either pull it back out and keep going around, or you can try to push it through and all the way around. It'll just snip this little line all the way off. Take your time, a little bit at a time, little cut at a time. It gets deeper, deeper, deeper is the best way to cut plastic like this. If you have a little Dremel tool, go at it. The only problem is you don't want to wear down all this center part and make it uneven, so when you mount the speaker, you get like an actual air leak between the speaker and the plastic itself. So worst case scenario, you could even shave it kind of at an angle down like that, and it's still not going to affect this part. This outside area, it wouldn't really matter. It's just going to be this part here that's going to seal. You can put some foam tape here. I don't have any. The stuff that I do have is really thick, so I'm just actually going to mount it on there. I'm going to see how it works. And pretty much there you have it. As you notice, the ring is all cut off all the way around. And there is the ring part. Just take your time. It'll come right off nice and smooth, and this will be all nice and flat. And you're going to go ahead and put your terminals on these ends. Drop your speaker in however you want it. Just make sure that these wires don't touch anything metal on your speaker. My speakers actually have to be made out of plastic. The actual casing itself, the magnet's the only thing that's metal. You wouldn't want these two to short out together. The ring is plastic, so you don't have to worry about that. If you want, you could put some electrical tape around these or something. You know, you can figure it out. If you're actually doing this on your own, you're bound to have some sort of audio stereo knowledge, so you can come up with something. I didn't have to, so I didn't do it. And there you have it. That's pretty much what you're going to have right there, is a little female connector. And we're going to slide the speaker in, and I'm going to pre-drill the holes where the speaker mounts. Smaller than the actual screw that I'm going to use, so that way it doesn't come back out and I don't crack this plastic. It's best to just pre-drill it with the smaller size bit. That's actually the size of the center of the screw itself, not the threads. As you can see, there is kind of the setup that I have. I bend those tabs down a little bit. Lucky for me, positive was on the one side and negative was on the other side, so they just line right up. Now most speakers should be like that. I don't think there's any difference in that itself, unless you flip the whole ring actually over, then it would be backwards. But like I said, always hit the battery on it, double check. There's the actual. Alright guys, this is the actual speaker itself. I got some debris from drilling the holes. Like I said, you just find any of these holes you want. You get the whole ring to work with. Put screws through the holes. Usually 4 is good. Make sure you don't put a screw through the middle of the actual plug itself. You could drill right through here and put it straight through that plug. You don't want to do that. That'll definitely ruin that plug. Like I said, those 2 pins, they must be soldered to this one and this other one. 2 here, 2 here. And wire it right in just like that. And that's the finished product. It's all mounted in there, ready to go. Fits perfectly in the car. There's really no other way to get a speaker in that car, because right behind the speaker is a little bracket for the window. And I bought these speakers with these little plastic rings that were only about the thickness of the speaker, just another, you know, 1/4 of an inch, and the magnet was hitting the little bar for the window. So I ended up having to cut these out. I didn't want to, but I mean, they're cheap to replace. I'm never going to replace with stock again anyway, so why would it matter? And it worked out so perfect. So there you go. Now I'm going to just plug my plug in right there, bolt it back in like the stock way, done.